Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. This is MazezRealm once again, and this is another episode of my Behind the Gamertag series. And most of you know that this series is not based on the gameplay, but instead is based on hot button topics that affect us as a YouTube community and the gaming community as a whole. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the subject matter that I have chosen for this episode, and that is YouTube commentators that start unnecessary drama to get views. And some of these commentators that I'm going to mention have not always started the drama intentionally, but just by the way that they run their channel or try to get views and subscriptions for their channels. And the first commentator that I'm just going to briefly cover is Raw Instinct. Most of us already know what Raw Instinct did. He was stealing people's content and basically taking credit for it on his channel, and basically got a really big, successful channel because of the content that he was taking from other commentators. So I'm not really going to talk about Raw Instinct because that has already been put to bed, and there's no point in really discussing that any further. But the commentator that I am going to be discussing about for the rest of this commentary is Wings of Redemption. Now, most of you have heard of Wings of Redemption. He has been around for a long time. He basically grew his channel from Call of Duty titles like Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops, and became a really successful channel because of those games. And then he started to slowly decline in views when Modern Warfare 3 came out, and it was simply because he was just not covering too much of the game, because he raged at the game a lot and didn't really like Modern Warfare 3 and just had a lot of negative things to say about the game. And then he basically just was trashing the game and the franchise that made his channel successful, and that's why, you know, his views started to decline a little bit. And he has actually admitted to that to some extent, and you know, has been wanting to get his channel back on track. But the way that he has been doing that has been very unethical, almost as unethical as Raw Instinct, but not as unethical. And he has had different ways of getting a lot of views on his channel that should be frowned upon in the YouTube community. The first one that I can remember off the top of my head is an unintentional one, and that was that one live stream that he was featured in with Syndicate and Woody's Gamertag back in the Call of Duty 4 days, where they were playing a friendly game of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and he got really angry at Syndicate because he was beating him, and he rage quit and demanded that the live stream be closed down and brought to a close. And Woody's Gamertag, being a good friend of his, and, you know, wanting to not make a big issue out of something like that, you know, quit the live stream. And basically, Wings of Redemption basically spoiled a perfectly good, entertaining live stream because he was taking the game too seriously and getting very frustrated live and didn't want to be embarrassed by his own actions, and so he demanded that the live stream be canceled out. And that created a lot of controversy, and he did get a huge decline in views, and also lost a lot of subscribers. And, you know, he was trying to recover from that, and had unethical ways of getting his subscriptions back and his views back. And one of those was when he was, quote unquote, going to commit suicide, and was, you know, wanting to end it all, and I don't know what his exact terminology was, but basically the gist of it was that he was going to commit suicide, and I think he voiced this on Twitter first, or I don't remember exactly how it was that the drama came up, but it basically was based on some suicide threats that he was saying that he was going to commit suicide, and he then admitted to it being a joke and that he wanted to increase his views by saying that, and that he apologized for that. And I don't know, me being someone, I'm not the oldest person, but I'm not young either. I'm 24 years old, and I've been around long enough to know that there are just some things you don't do, regardless of anything. And one of those is, you don't joke about things like that to get attention from others. Suicide in and of itself is a selfish act. And, a lot of us have been down on the dumps, and I'm sure a lot of us have thought of, of doing that at some point. And I guess that can be normal because some people's lives are harder than others. But, most of us don't voice it in a public way to get attention, and in this way to get more revenue, because that's what YouTube is about. The more views you get, the more revenue you get. And, he did that to increase his views. And, I hadn't been subscribed to Wings of Redemption just because of me not really liking him as a person and as a commentator. And so I just didn't subscribe to it. But those of us who did subscribe to him were somewhat outraged about that. And it kind of outraged me as well, because that's a bad example to commentators in general and the YouTube community. It's a really bad example of what you should do to become successful in YouTube. A lot of people work very, very hard to get content that's relevant, to get content that helps the YouTube community, and to get the best gameplay that they can to help others and to entertain others. And threatening to commit suicide to get views is ridiculous, and it should be frowned upon by everybody, whether you're on Twitter, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook. It's something that should be shunned completely. And recently, this is a less grievous offense, but recently, Wings of Redemption challenged Jnasty into a 6v6, head-to-head competition between Jnasty and his team of whatever players he selected. And he basically called him out because Jnasty was talking trash to him on Twitter, saying that he was a terrible Call of Duty player. And so, of course, Wings of Redemption got upset about that and made a video on his channel saying that he challenged Jnasty. And then a few days after that, or maybe a day after that, he released another video stating that he had put together a team, and those players that he selected were going to be the players that were going to be going against him and Jnasty's team and whatever. He released another video giving a little bit more details about that, and then after that he released another video saying that he had withdrawn from the competition and he was not going to participate anymore. And frankly, I think that 3 strikes and you're out, really. I think that he has become more of a nuisance on YouTube than a relevant figure in YouTube that helps the community. And that's infuriating. It really is. Because there are a lot of commentators that work really hard to get their content shown. Woody's Gamertag is a good example. T. Martin is a good example. They're good commentators that have very good talent and people skills and use that to help the community. Meanwhile, people like Raw Instinct and Wings of Redemption are abusing the subscriptions that they have earned whether it be in an ethical way or an unethical way, and then using that to their advantage and releasing videos to start controversy that they brought on to themselves, and then get views off of that. You know? And personally, it's infuriating. As a YouTube commentator and as someone who enjoys watching other people's commentaries, it's very infuriating to have to deal with this type of stuff in our community. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that you guys can leave some comments and leave some feedback and let me know what you think about this. And, you know, until next time, this has been MazezRealm. I'm out.